This conference will now be recorded.
I wish I could get her to change it to say this forum is now being recorded because you are here at BSC's Business Success Global Forum. It's Thursday, May 27th, and we are very excited to have a look at not just the future, but what is here today. And we've already had a very interesting discussion, and Sam has added to our vocabulary, which he will do again. But I'm Jan Triplett, I'm your host, so glad to have you with us today. The Business Success Center is proud to provide this program, and it is a forum, so it's not a seminar or a webinar. Everybody participates, everybody talks. You will be encouraged to talk. Some say you will be nagged into talking, but it's very friendly because we really want to use all the ideas. And Jimmy Tom was just sharing something from a friend of his in Dallas, and Dave Nave has something to share with us. So we have a lot going on. We are. It kind of helps explain why the Austin Business Journal chose us as one of the top business and networking groups in Austin. And we wouldn't have done it without your help. And it's not just Austin, as you can tell, because we have people with contacts and people who are located in different cities and sometimes even in different countries when we're able to make the timelines work. So this is, as I said, a forum, and it will be an opportunity for you to share your views. You don't have to raise your hand. You may interrupt. This is a discussion, and we're going to be talking particularly about the Internet of Things, but we're going to be talking about all kinds of ideas because Dave always brings us really interesting ideas, but also so does everybody else. So glad to have you with us. We will start with sharing your wisdom, where you get to share an idea or a book or a post that you've read or a post that you've written or a technology. I have a technology to share with you at the end. And then we want to encourage you to tell us what we can do for you as well. Then we will have our mentor zone. And as I said, our guest mentor today is Sam Alexander Jr., who is a longtime colleague, and I always go to him to find out what's going to happen so that I know what is happening as well. And of course, you all are mentors as well. And then I will bring up the rear with some ideas about rebuilding or reopening or restarting or keeping moving, whatever it is. And I have a lot of those to share with you. So it will be a quick and really good opportunity. So I always have something that I like for you to think about. And I've moved to where I ask the guest mentor to give me something that they have said or something that I found, excuse me, that they have said. So this one is a brand new, recent one from Sam Alexander. You will hear it first time here. And that is that we're in an evolving world and we have to evolve quickly. And I don't know, Sam, if the rest of that means is if you don't evolve quickly, you become extinct, but that certainly is a potential. So what I hope that you will do as we're talking today is to think about the future of your industry, because Sam's area is fashion and technology, but it is certainly evolving in lots of different ways. And I know that Paige is here and he always keeps us up to date on all kinds of things as well. So think about the future of your industry and really think, are you just waiting or are you engaged? So I encourage you to get engaged, and the forum is one way to do that. So starting with Paige Heller, would you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. I am Paige Heller. I am with Hopes Creek Consulting. And so I help startup companies with management of inventions and intellectual property matters. So patents, copyrights, trademarks, but all from a business perspective, not from a law perspective, which gives me kind of a unique advantage. And I didn't know we could do show and tell. It's so much fun. So if I can do show and tell for a second. So see this little device right here? This is an IoT device. It fits in the palm of my hand, and it is what is called a Wi-Fi sniffer. I built it, I made it because I am starting a cybersecurity company, and I wanted to learn how hackers are stealing information that is wirelessly sent. So what better way to do that than to build your own hack device? This shows how easy it is. I did not know how to build this, and I learned in about a month and had it up and running and was listening to Wi-Fi signals in that short a period of time. It doesn't take much.
That's scary.
So that's pretty scary, isn't it? Yes,
Yep.
I agree. It's scary.
So what may we do for
So for me, if any of you knows anyone that works in a manufacturing environment, I would love an introduction, because we have perfected a way to secure wireless transmissions, and we want to do that for manufacturers. So I'm looking for introductions into manufacturing that may allow us to come in and show them what we can do. We wouldn't actually sell to them. Our goal is to sell to access point manufacturers like Cisco and Emerson and those kinds of people. Netgear, D-Link.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're not a threat. We don't come in as a threat, but
Okay, and I have to kind of close you down a little bit because
yeah,
I need to have everybody, but we
good.
will be looking for something. And Paige, I have something for you right now because I have just become an organizer of 1 million cups, and you have something exactly like what we would like to have come speak. So you and I need to get together and see what month you want to do that.
Sounds good.
Okay, Joyce Michaels, would you introduce yourself?
Good
You're certainly
afternoon.
welcome to show yourself too if you'd like,
Oh,
but you don't have to.
okay. I think I showed myself, but I can't see. So, okay. Anyway, I'm Joyce Michaels, Austin Custom Errands, the Relax Your Life specialist, and we do a lot of things to help people do what they don't want to or they're not good at. Then they can have fun and quality time with family and friends and do what it is that they want to do. Make money to do what they want to do. And if I'm supposed to give a recommendation at this time, I got on a little bit late. So what I'm going to suggest is that deliver more than you promise. If you promise and don't deliver, it hurts. So that's me for today.
That's a great issue for us all to remember. And sometimes it's hard to make that work. So thank you, Joyce, so much. And we can do for you by helping people know you're out there. What else can we do?
Oh, maybe connect with me on LinkedIn or go to my Google business page, Austin Custom Errands, and do a review.
Okay. Well, I would be happy to do that, and I'm sure others would. Put some your LinkedIn in the chat box, if you will, and your Google page, so that we can do that.
I think I will have to get that together and get it on there later.
That's fine. That is
Okay.
absolutely fine. Okay, good. Dave
Thank
Turpin,
you.
thank you, Joyce. Would you introduce yourself and share an idea and tell us what we can do for you?
Am I supposed to have a photo as well? There we go. Hi, everybody. My name is David Turpin. I'm here in Austin. For those of you who are not from Austin, I provide business advice to firms periodically, not the kind where you send them a report and they stick it on the shelf, but the kind where I actually work with people. We roll up our sleeves and try and get things accomplished. That's taken some interesting forms over the years, including the year that I spent most of that as the interim consulting chief of staff for the Salvation Army. So I've kind of been there and done that for a lot of things. I started my career as a banker, then I spent 18 years as a Fortune 500 treasurer and CFO. Was also had some side jobs doing running turnarounds for them and some other things. And currently I do the advisory work, and I also am the owner of a smallish, less than 2 million in sales, restaurant and catering company here in Austin.
Called?
Mangia, M-A-N-G-I-A, pizza and Italian food.
Yummy.
This group used to meet in the meeting
Yes, we
room
did.
of one of my restaurants, which is how I first met Jan. I kind of wandered in and listened up one day, and here we go.
So
That's
what would
me.
you like to recommend?
Don't forget who you know. I stumbled across a possible situation, and I started backtracking, and as somebody that I know from my many years on the Salvation Army Board of Directors, received a phone call from me. I said, "Do you happen to know this person?" He said, "Oh yeah." He gave me a glowing review, the pros and cons of what kind of person they were and how they deal with. He said, "Go ahead and tell him I told you to call. If you're just trying to find out if it's worth pursuing, then he's the guy to talk to." So you never know. I would not ordinarily have expected to have a lot of commonality with this guy professionally, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart. And this was definitely one of those situations where luck is preparation and opportunity coming together.
Well, David, you are also very smart. What may we do for you?
Actually, this week I'm not doing much at this point. We're in some discussions with a possible buyer of the business, which has kind of gone off and on for a long time. You couldn't make this up, sort of stories about a previous would-be buyer who was sure I was defrauding the government and by pursuing one of the
Oh my,
government remuneration programs for restaurant owners.
wow.
He was very adamant about it, and the check came in
Oh,
about 3 weeks after he was adamant that I was going to go to jail.
oh my.
So certain people you simply walk away from. That's another good bit of advice. Know when to cut bait. There's an old saying supposedly attributed to the Sioux Indians: when horse is dead, dismount.
Oh,
And
interesting.
this was a dead horse moment.
Yep. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Teresa Bittner, and you're welcome to show yourself as well as talk.
All right, let's see. Here I am. Hello. Oh, it was previewing. Okay, there we go. We'll share. I didn't know I had to hit share. Here I am. Hi there, Teresa Bittner with Bold Fulfilled Life Coach, and that's what I do. Let's see. So the wisdom of the day is one of my, there's a couple points. It is the ending of National Mental Health Month. So my question for you all is, how do you take care of your mental health? And hopefully we have a 3-day weekend coming up and you can do something you enjoy, either inside or outside. Gardening might be a thing since it's rained. It's a good time to pull those leaves off and weeds in Central Texas. And one last thing I thought is my resiliency tip is when you're in a major change or kerfuffle, what are the facts? Try to get out of your emotions and kind of get down to the facts of the change. Just got off with a client who signed a lease but doesn't want to move. So we're talking about those facts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's like, you and your significant other are on different pages. Oh my.
Oh my. Well, Teresa, thank you for both of those tips. So I have to ask you, what are you going to do for fun on the weekend?
Fun on the weekend. We are actually all vaccinated, and the Bittner family that lives here are going to get together and have, some family time. So we're going to cook out. So that's special.
That is very special. What may we do for you?
What you can do for me, I would love to connect with you folks on LinkedIn or Facebook. You can sign up. I do a couple times a month newsletter with resiliency tips and things like that. So I'm happy to meet and just learn how I can support you in your business as well. And if you need anything for resiliency, look me up. I'm here. Got lots of resources.
And Teresa, be sure to put that in the chat box, will you?
I will do. I'll share my latest blog too.
Oh, good, good. Well, thank you for both the resiliency tip about facts and about doing something we enjoy, because we can get in a rut. So thank you so much. Dave Nave?
Hi there. I guess you might as well see my messy office. What the hell? There you go. Yeah, Dave Nave and Associates in the Renton, Washington area, which is real close to Seattle. It's a suburb, actually, even though they don't like to say they are, but they are. I do management consulting about the artistry and science of managing well. And I help people understand why things are done the way they are currently in their organization, try to help them see a new perspective, creating new insights, and then determine how to take some deliberate action based on the new insights. I have, let's see, what do you want? Oh, my favorite one, just like the horse, when the horse is dead, dismount. My favorite saying is, if you find you're digging yourself into a hole, stop digging. Sometimes that's hard to do.
You bet. What may we do for you?
If you know any leaders that are trying to want to look at their organization, how they lead, how they organizations put together, management systems, business processes, strategies to support a structure to support your strategies, that type of thing, I'll be glad to talk with them.
Great. And I know you have something really interesting for us coming up. Jimmy Ta?
All right, got myself unmuted. Let me see if I can turn on the camera.
Yay, there you are.
There we go. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jimmy Ta, temporarily in northeast Georgia, about 90 miles north of Atlanta and about 30 minutes from South Carolina. And I am with a company called Legalshield, and we have a portfolio of the legal and identity theft protection services for individuals as well as for businesses. I specialize in working with small business owners. We know that small businesses face the same challenges and issues that big businesses do. The only difference is that they don't have access to the same resources. So what we are doing at Legalshield is we have a suite of products and services to help small businesses so that they can make the best possible decisions each business day, and that would free them up, free up their time so they can concentrate on what they do best, which is to help their customers and make more money, honestly. Also, on the personal side, as far as identity theft product, we were just recently awarded the 2021 Cybersecurity Excellence Gold Award for Identity Theft Resolution Service, which is a pretty good thing to have. I believe this is our second or third year in a row that we have been awarded this Excellence Gold Award for Identity Theft Protection Service.
That's wonderful, Jimmy Ta. And what would you like to share with us as an idea or something? And tell us how the marketing class went that you invited us to.
It went very well. I learned a lot. As a matter of fact, in the process of putting together some PowerPoints, which I can share. But anyway, I learned quite a bit from that. Even though it was the presenter is with a woman-owned CPA firm in Pittsburgh, but he's their marketing person, so he shared a lot of very good information, especially for small businesses and startups on what they can do to stand out in the marketplace.
Great. Well, that is so good. Is there something specific about legal issues you'd like to share with us before we go on?
Well, one of the big things going on these days is obviously cybersecurity in light of what happened with Colonial Pipeline. So glad to say that we have our new cybersecurity product, and also one of the other things that's hitting a lot of businesses unawares is misclassifying employees. Because sometimes a business would classify somebody as a 1099 when it should be the W-2, and that can result in some major fines by the Department of Labor. And I have a survey, a quiz rather, that can help it's a fairly short, it will take about 5 minutes for the business or somebody to do that, and they can determine whether they're making mistakes with that or not. And I can put that in the chat window, or I can email that to you, and you can, when you send it out, this is a short quiz to help people know whether they are misidentifying employees or not.
Jimmy Todd, that would be great. Please do both. Please put it in the chat box, and if you'll send it to me when I send out the newsletter with everybody's ideas. I hope you've been noticing that in the newsletter that goes to you all first, that I've been pulling in your ideas as well. So that would be great. Thank you, Jimmy. I'm going to go to Sam and let him say a few words before we move on, but not too much, Sam, because I have a lot to say about you. So.
Okay, let me unmute here.
There you are.
Can you hear me, or am I still muted?
You're fine.
Okay, Sam Alexander. I am the CEO of C2C Fashion and Technology. We are a local company here in Austin, and we are basically focusing on reinventing the fashion industry. My history started out in the industry with Levi Strauss and gone through pretty much all the major companies in the fashion industry globally. And I've produced over 100 young designers here in the US and in Europe. I've got a new program that I'm going to share with you guys today. I shared the major company last time I was here, but I've got another division that we're opening now that we're about to release to the public.
Neat. Well, I'm going to save your recommendation then for when you speak in just a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
But what can we do for you? Because I want to make sure that we get that out there, because sometimes speakers don't tell.
The product that we're about to release will be a consumer product. So this is the first time that I've actually brought a consumer product to the show.
Wow.
And we'll be able to have a lot of interaction from the consumers. And we've also built an affiliate program for those people that are looking for extra income.
Neat. And Sam told me that this is your third presentation already this morning. Is that right?
Correct.
Oh my goodness. All right. So that brings us to the second portion of the forum, which we call business leverage, when we get ideas from our mentors. And we always start with our special guest mentor expert, Dave Nave, who always takes over and shares something that we all need to know about. So Dave, you're up.
Okay, this is going to be just one slide real quickly. I want to point out that as a leader in any organization, people react to how you treat them. And the whole idea with this is people have different reactions to change. So as you introduce change, you have two paths to go, two circles you can follow. One of them is, of course, the people that are resistant to change. They usually receive little or no information. They are given no methods to accomplish what is desired. This leads to fear, which then promotes the attack on the efforts and defensive behaviors. And all this does is reinforce the resistance. Or you can introduce change with information and keep employees involved, get them involved in how it's going to be done and what has to be done, and so that they can see the benefits and the opportunities, which stimulates the interest and creativity, and which increases the acceptance. And the reason that this is, or how I use this and what I find it's interesting, is people will get, leaders will go out and wonder how come the effort's being attacked and why people are being defensive. And it can usually be traced back around this circle in that they were given little information and no methods, and that they might want to redirect their efforts with more information and more involvement in how it's going to happen and what's going to happen. And it works. It usually does. Sometimes I can go back and say, oh, I screwed up. Let's try this again. And people will forgive them for that. Say, okay, let's try it again. And if not, then usually if it's a team effort, then somebody on the team usually bats down the person that's stuck in the attack and defensive behavior. But I find this is a very interesting little chart to think about as you're going about it, particularly at the beginning.
And is this your own chart?
I don't know where this came from.
Okay. Well, you always bring us interesting things.
Yes.
So this resistance cycle we're all experiencing right now as people feel resistant to going back to work. And it looks like David has a comment or thought he'd like to add to the discussion.
Bad timing on my cough. Dave, I love this because in part it reminds me of something from when I worked for one of those Japanese monolithic banks a number of years ago. My boss called me into the office, and Japanese banks are a little bit different in structure. The importance in the Japanese hierarchy of the office manager often outranked the size of the office he headed. And for various reasons, my boss had been a really high-ranking guy sent to Texas when somebody got sick and the banking crisis was in full force. But anyhow, he wanted me to run around the country talking to all the other Americans, and we were atypical, and we had a very seasoned crew of bankers, and devise a different approach for corporate strategy in the United States for large corporations. And he introduced me to a Japanese word called nimawashi. And nimawashi doesn't really translate well into English, but it evokes images of people behind the scenes before a stage play is produced, running around, making sure everybody's got their lines and what else have you. And he contrasted in a subsequent conversation the Western European American approach to what he called the Oriental Approach. The United States, powers that be, get together, have a change, and everybody goes into turmoil because it's announced and then they work through it. In Japan, the guys, generally it's all guys, would get together, come up with a change, and then they'd adjourn the meeting and they appoint a few agents who went around behind the scenes, talked to everybody and said, wouldn't it be interesting if we did so and so and so and so? And then in the same amount of time it took for everybody to come up with acceptance that you've got on your chart, they would not say anything, and then they'd roll it out and everybody goes, well, of course, makes a lot of sense. Same amount of effort, totally different way of getting buy-in. But it doesn't really fit the dynamic leader model, which shows up a lot in the West.
David, thank you very much.
You get a Westerner in Japan trying to do it the Western way, it doesn't work too well.
Yeah, but I love your example. Teresa, I would imagine in your work as a coach, and particularly in resiliency, this is a reaction that you get when people say, I wanted to change, but no, I don't.
Oh yeah, they speak in my language here, and uh, often see the resistance cycle for people, and it's a lot of times the change has been introduced to them. You know, they've been laid off, or they're going through a divorce, or something's happened. So that leads to all of those, fear, and fear leaves you stuck, and then we're going to be defensive, and we don't want to change. So yeah, definitely. I love the idea of being informed, involved in your change, and then if you can get them to see the opportunities, it's one of my resiliency tips is always look for what you can learn.
Great, great. And that fits really well with what David was talking about and looking at other models and such a good example. Joyce, one of the things you've brought to us a couple of times is really helping people understand the value of having somebody else to do things, to delegate. Is this something that you experience in your sales process or in actually working with people?
Yes, because they tend to want to be in control. And that issue of needing to be in control really stymies a lot of what people can do.
How do you handle that?
Oh, try to give them an example of where it would benefit them. Like if they delegate having somebody else do their grocery shopping, then they have that time to put into working their business and generating income that they would not be generating if they were taking care of the grocery shopping themselves.
That sounds like a great way to handle that. Dave, what do you think about Joyce's way of handling this resistance that she runs into?
Dave who?
Dave Nave. Sorry, I always think of you as Dave Nave and David Turpin as David Turpin.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, examples help intellectually, but it's usually emotionally that people are stuck with the old command and control because that's the way they've been taught, and they're just want to be king, and it's an emotional situation. It's very hard to get them out of that. But information and involvement helps.
Yeah, yeah. Explain command and control a little bit more, will you, Dave?
Well, that's where I've talked in the past about the three powers of leadership, which is knowledge, personality, and persuasiveness, and tact. How's that for four? Four, not three, four.
Okay.
And but command and control is basically the person that his positional power, all of his power, all of his leadership comes out of his position in the organization, not in any of these other, aspects or attributes.
Thank you. Hey, Jimmy, you lived in Texas, you now live in Georgia. Do you see different resistance and growth cycles across the country, or does it seem the same to you?
Well, it's a little hard for me to tell because Georgia is way behind Texas as far as opening up for business. So I haven't had too much opportunities to speak with the business owners in Georgia yet, especially in this little town where my sister lives. So I wish I could answer that better. I mean, I know the restaurants and all that. I haven't, I guess restaurants are pretty much since they are in the service business, their servers are, just as good as the ones in Texas, But as far as other types of businesses, I haven't had a chance to actually go into too many businesses to really get a good idea.
Do you run into this resistance and growth cycle in helping people understand the value of Legalshield, just like Joyce does with understanding the value of what she does?
Yes, it's usually it takes me a little while to get the people to understand, how we can help them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one of the things that one of the initial reactions always is this for real because and I have to explain to them that basically what we do is we take the model from crowdfunding or Uber, and because we harness the power of the many members to be able to offer legal service and business consulting services at a fraction of what you normally would pay an attorney or business consultant. It's okay. One of the initial reactions was that this can't be for real.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it kind of goes back. What you're saying kind of goes back to what Dave suggested and thought about. Paige, would you like to weigh in on this too?
So yeah, I think it addresses transparency as well. And I know from experience that if you pick and choose the information you're being transparent about, you're not being transparent at all. Mm-hmm. So you have to make available both the good and the bad news to your employees. And I've had 7 businesses. I learned early on it's best if the employees can solve the problem and introduce the change. So if you can teach them what the problem is, what your metrics are that you can use to measure the results, let them come up with a solution. You still have to be on top because your employee might enter the resistance cycle in introducing change, and you want to encourage them to come up with a solution in the growth cycle.
Right. Well, I know that you're going to have some really great things to share with us next month when you tell us about the kind of warning signs of why businesses fail. So thank you so much for those insights. Dave, you always do a great job, and I'm looking forward to next week. And I'm going to take it back, and we're going to go along and talk to Sam. So
Thank you.
hopefully you will have something that you'd like to say about that before we go into your discussion. Would you like to talk about something, Sam?
Sure. We look at everything in three C's: change, choice, and chance. And you can evolve those 3 words any which way that fits you as your personality. But if you don't choose the change, then you may not have a chance. And it's funny that we're talking about this on this podcast today. Yesterday, we talked about this. And one of the comments that we had is that there's a battle going on right now between the material world and the spiritual world. And the battle is that you either evolve to a higher level of consciousness and be able to pull yourself out of the material world, because people are evolving on a personal basis from a quantity of life to a quality of life. And if you're not marketing towards that quality of life, you're going to lose out, because everybody's evolving away from a quantity of life. And if you take a look at what's gone on in this country, 40% of all the currency of our country has been created in the last year and a half.
Wow.
Okay.
That's somewhat scary.
And that's what we were talking earlier about before we started, is inflation. And I knew that they were going to come up with a new word. We talked about that. Is translatory is their new word for inflation. And what we're dealing with is, if you're looking at the housing industry, you can't buy a house right now and get a price. They'll tell you the price after they finish it. Tesla's got 10,000 cars sitting on the lot now that they don't have the parts to be able to ship the cars. GM is only making expensive cars right now because they don't have the parts to be able to finish off a lot of their cars. The supply chain, the global supply chain is completely disrupted right now. And the people in this country are so apathetic that they're going to be in a lot of trouble by the 3rd and 4th quarter. And the demand, think about this, we've got a stored up demand for a whole year that people have been sitting there not spending a lot of cash. And it's been stored up. And then you talk about how many trillions of dollars have been pumped into the economy. It's like putting paper on top of a fire that's already burning.
Right. So the floor is yours, Sam.
Okay.
I showed a little slide about you. You are a man of many talents. We wouldn't have this wonderful incubator in Austin at the community college without you, but there are so many things that you have done for us. I shared this little slide with you because before we started, because it's amazing. And I know you might want to talk it through. And then you told me that you've been inventing it again. And so there's more than is here, but maybe you'd like to talk through this, or maybe you'd like to take over and show us the slides that you brought us.
Okay, I'll go through this real quick, because this is the basics that I start out with a lot of my kids, and they love this. And the younger generation is really in tune to what's going on in this country right now. And basically what we're doing is we're moving from the economy that we have now to a sharing economy. And the problem is that the resources that we have, because of Africa, China, and India starting to consume as much as we have, the Chinese middle class is larger than our whole U.S. population. So we only are functioning right now at an aggregate efficiency at the high of 20%, and that's Japan. Germany's at 14.5, and the US is at 14%. So that means we've got another 80% aggregate efficiency of usage of raw materials that we have to learn how to utilize. And that's where your circular economy comes into play. You've got people like Uber and Grubhub and Off the Rack and and Tesla that have disrupted a lot of the industry. I keep going through the list, Airbnb, of all disrupted industries that have been long-standing industries. And so we're in the largest change of era that we've been in the history of the world. You're looking at us moving from the fourth industrial revolution. Not only are we moving from into the fourth industrial revolution, but we are also changing into a different dimension. We've moved from a physical world into a digital world. And in the digital world, you've got things like blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and artificial intelligence, which are the basis for what we're building the whole new economy on. Just in the job market, as you can already see, there's tons of jobs available. The problem is people are not qualified for them. There's 130 million new healthcare jobs that are coming available, 20 million new energy jobs, and 50 million robotic and technology jobs. We're also looking at the tri-sector collaboration. And that's where we're going to be able to develop and rebuild this country. Is it has to be a combination of the government, private industry, and education working together to bring us up to speed. And what we're doing in the college area is we're doing stackable certifications to bring everybody up to speed for the new jobs that are coming available.
So I'm going to make you the presenter, and so
Okay.
you can show your slides now.
Wrong one. Can you see that?
You bet.
Okay.
I'm always glad that you explain things, Sam, because you are so not only inventive, but you're entertaining, and things are so well put together that it's really interesting.
Okay, I'll go through and go over the overview. The last time I was here, I kind of shared what our company does. And basically, we've created a global ecosystem. It's an enterprise system that we've connected factories, designers, retailers, consumers, and everyone into one complete ecosystem. Our divisions are the C2C Collab, where we take in new companies and help them to develop their products from concept to consumption, which is our company name. And we work in anything from the luxury clothing to nanobiotech, smart fashion, and wearable technology. We've created our own communication system, which is incorporated into our enterprise system. And it's for online events, workshops, webinars, and interactive showroom. We have a ERP CRM that we built, our custom CRM ERP that connects everything and does all the things from your working process, your style, your pick ticket. It works with everybody that's in the ecosystem, and it's all one system connected globally. We're in 32 languages. We also built out an intranet system, which is basically your LinkedIn, Facebook, that we built that's a private intranet system that gives you the ability to communicate globally with all your clients, employees, and business associates. We have a new technology, which is C2C Interact, and this is basically marketing in a different media form. And then we're about to launch a C2C V Shop, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today. The problem is the fashion industry is a 1.3 trillion industry. There's 92 million tons of industrial textile waste that's created each year. 87% of that ends up in either the dumps or being incinerated. What we're looking at is going at this from a different perspective. Instead of just sustainability, we're looking at the circular economy. How do we design products that basically have a lifespan that we can track and then reuse the products or take them out of existence without the kind of waste that we have right now? The way that we do that is by reshoring our industry back to the US, which is going to take time, and looking at it from a sustainable concept of smart factories, smart networks, and smart products. Our goal is to basically eliminate a lot of the energy waste, carbon waste, and the water waste. We've got a couple of new technologies that we're going to bring into effect, which I'll bring later, but our whole focus is to reinvent the retail industry, and your brick and mortar will come into play, but we'll have basically areas that you go measure and pick out products that you want to touch and feel. Then we have virtual showrooms, virtual reality try-ons that we can actually try to close on in the home. And then you have interactive digital media that you can walk into a store and your phone will become interactive with the store. We've just come up with a mobile app for measurements that we can actually go within half an inch of measurements of your body and body mass, and then use artificial intelligence to create an avatar of you that you'll be able to utilize in our ecosystem. this new sensor here we're going to introduce in the fall. It has a HoloLens built into it, and Microsoft just partnered with us on it because of their background and what they're doing with the holograms. But it's got a hologram projector built into the system. And then if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, we give you the ability to actually measure and do your own measurements and put them into the system, and then it will automatically create your avatar for you with artificial intelligence. Now, who can use this technology? Basically, we're focusing on retailers right now that we can create private label with their own brands in their stores, manufacturers and young designers that don't have a lot of financing to do the huge production requirements that China is requesting and the rest of the world. And then the consumer will be able to use our product directly, and we will have the product. We can actually make the product in 6 days with your own design and ship it to you within 3 to 5. This is the new sensor that I was showing you a minute ago, and these are some of the things that we're doing. We're very excited about the sensor. It has a facial recognition built into it. We'll be able to use it in retail for people counting, shelf analytics, inventory monitoring, interactive showcasing, data analytics, and forecasting of trends. It's got, I won't go into all the other things, but we have mixed reality, which has a HoloLens built in it for holograms, and we will be able to actually put a fashion show in your living room. This attaches to any smart TV and turns your passive smart TV into a completely interactive TV. These are some of the factories that we are initially setting up, and as you can see, most of our factories are totally robotics now, and there's very few people anywhere in these factories now. The process that we're going to now is called made to measure. And what we're doing is there's 3 different areas: made to measure, couture, and custom made clothing. Made to measure means that we're making the clothing for you on a mass production cycle that's actually individualized to where the clothing are made to your specific body fit. So the cost of this will be less than what you'll pay for a department store. And as I said, once you design it, it'll take you 7 days to get it. 7 days for it to be finished, and then 3 to 5 days it'll be at your home. Basically, in our C2C virtual shop, you pick your style, then you go in and you design it and give it all the features that you want. Then we have all your measurements in your avatar, or we can scan you with the scanner, or we can use a sensor to scan you, and then within approximately 10 days, the product will be at your house. This is kind of an idea of the products that we'll be offering, and I'm just going to run through these just to give you a quick overview. We're also going to incorporate a lot of technology into the products, everything from washable suits to all different types of silk t-shirts and different treatments to the t-shirts, wicking, to keep the water off your body, all different types of techniques that we're going to add in here. And we're going to also offer you the casual products too, jeans, t-shirts, and jackets. This is some of the eco-friendly, sustainable products that we'll be offering, and you basically can pick and choose. You also have double-sided products which you can reverse and wear on both sides. We'll have everything from menswear fabrics all the way down to the newest techno fabrics. For women, we're offering them a complete wardrobe also. We're doing formal wear, custom made, and kids wear, custom made. We'll also do uniforms. Once you pick your avatar, then basically we can scan you with our new technology, which is our artificial intelligence, and it works with the sensor. We can scan you from head to toe, and it will pick up all your body metrics, and you can either upload or take a picture of the outfit that you have on, and it'll go out into our e-commerce platform and find all the products that go with that outfit. And here's a lot of the accessories that it'll be able to pick out for you so that you don't have to go out and figure it out yourself. And we also do custom made shoes for you there too. And then the second factory that we're going to launch will be a nano biotech factory. And our label for that will be C2C Fast Tech. And what we're doing, this will be the first product. It's a fiber called Imana. And what this fiber does is that we insert it into the clothing, and it harvests the heat from your body, turns it into infrared, redirects it into your skin, which increases your red blood flow and eliminates cellulite for women and help men to have more energy. We just integrated last week our cryptocurrency gateway so that we can accept cryptocurrency for payment on any of our products. And right now, there's over $1 trillion market cap out there on the top 3 cryptocurrency that people are sitting there with, just waiting to spend it somewhere. So we're going to capitalize on that opportunity there. And this is just some of the press that we've gotten from Forbes, R.N. Huffington, Women's Wear Daily in the last year. And that's pretty much what I wanted to show you today. I always try to keep it short because Jan asked me to, but there's a lot more, but this is just one segment of what we do. And what we're looking at is basically not trying to fix the fashion industry, but reinvent it from the ground up. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Sam. What a wonderful fashion show. Sam, how did you get to this point? You know, you talked a little bit about your early journey, but something motivated you or drove you to look at really smart fashion. What was it that got you there?
Well, in the 80s, no one was actually developing software for our industry. And so I actually went out and developed the first Microsoft software for the fashion industry. And my technology was used in pretty much the whole country up until we came out into the cloud. But when I saw Microsoft, and when we developed our software, Microsoft became a partner. And when they introduced the SQL Server, I saw that the world was about to change. And so that's when I developed my first cloud platform. I actually had a cloud platform built in 1999.
That's
and
amazing.
We have progress from there. And once the industry collapsed, then I started looking at where the next direction of the industry was going to go to. And right now, the wearable technology industry by the year 2028 is predicted to be a $150 billion industry just here in the US. And we've already built out factories and building out more factories. Our focus right now is on hemp. And one of the things that we like about hemp is it also produces graphene. And graphene is a nanofiber that we're putting into a lot of different products now.
Questions, comments, thoughts from forum attendees?
No shrinking violet me. Sam, I actually stuck this in the chat room, but can you give us an idea of the various price points that the final product will range in and what that implies for your target market segment?
It will be less than what you would pay for off-the-rack clothing in any department store.
Have you sold stuff already, Sam?
Well, the factory that I partnered with in China is already doing $40 million worth of business here in the US, and we're about to take them to the next level. And the clothing is all made to measure. And that's why I explained the difference between made to measure, custom, and couture. And basically what we're doing is cutting out the middleman and giving you custom clothing, made to measure clothing that fits you directly from the factory. So when we cut out all the middlemen, there's a 600% markup from the factory to the consumer, the traditional way that we do business.
Well, that's interesting. And to know how high that percentage is, wonderful. Okay.
But the margins are lower for the retailer because of their cost of doing business. Most of the retailers don't net out anywhere from 12 to 17% on their sales.
Are your expectations that we're going to see a lot of new designers out there?
Well, that's the focus that I'm helping these guys to do, the young designers right now. With the minimums that requirements and the cost of doing domestic production, it's eliminated a lot of the creative aspect of our industry. So right now, we give them the ability to create a core line that they don't have a lot of expenditures for, because a basic new company, just to start them up in the fashion industry, and I've done it so many times that I know the numbers, $250,000 easily just to make it through the first year. And these kids just don't have that money. And there's not a lot of investment capital out there for these new companies that are coming along, because our industry has such a disastrous way. But we're a huge industry, $1 trillion industry alone, just here in Texas.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about Bitcoin. A lot of us have been thinking about, should we do that? Shouldn't we? You talked about how much Bitcoin or how much, cryptocurrency is out there. That's a that's a big risk to take, and you all have jumped
You
in
know,
with both feet.
I'm glad you asked me that question. You know, I look at it from the perspective, okay, we are at a point where they printed 40% of the currency of the United States in the last year and a half. And talking about, I just heard a little bit on the radio before I came on here, they're talking about doing another $5 trillion.
Hmm.
You got inflation eating at your dollar from one way and deflation eating at it from the other end. And so with the pandemic has created a year of people's supply, cash supply that they've accumulated. Then you've got all this money in the system, and then you have a global lockdown of the shipping. And we're probably going to take another 2 to 3 months to come out of this problem that we're having. The boats are backed up to China right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So,
Sam,
but
thank
as far as cryptocurrency go, I just want to say this: anybody that's not getting into cryptocurrency has to be crazy right now. I got in at 16,000. It went to 67,000.
Mhm.
I took my principal out. I'm floating on all the accumulation, and I'm buying more right now because it's dropped again.
Yeah.
And it's going to go up and down, but they're predicting it's going to be 300,000 by the end of the year.
Oh, my goodness.
Especially if they print another $5 trillion.
Wow. Well, Sam, will you come back again and keep us up to date? Because this is more than just the fashion industry. This is lots of industries going this way. And I can see how Jimmy Ta and, Legalshield and Paige and some of the rest of us, can use what you have to say as to how this fits into what we do. And even Teresa and I, in terms of working with our customers, because part of what both of us do is really make sure that we're looking at the person as a whole being. And since this new effort gives people a better way to live, it makes our jobs, I think, Teresa, a little bit easier.
Well,
Okay.
the big issue is that there's no more siloed industries. We are looking at a decentralized collaboration, and all the walls of all industries are being broken down now. And if you're not working from a decentralized basis and also looking at how to bring more people into your pick, I explain it to people like this. You got a potluck and everybody brings their best dish and you have a great meal. Right now, you can't stand alone in this world. You've got to learn how to collaborate and work together with other people.
Yeah. And that goes really well with the quote that you gave me for the beginning about evolving quickly. And evolving quickly means basically getting rid of those silos. And Dave Nave had some really good ideas about how to deal with change and things of that sort. I just had this very quick little comment that I wanted you all to think about, which is what your customers think about the Internet of Things and how it fits in with what you're doing. And really, even though we don't have enough time, but I want you to think about how you can use that information to improve your customers' experience. So in order to close on time, I want to just remind you that I'm going to be talking about the right way to fund your business on Friday. It'll be Friday morning, and there is still some room if anybody would like to come, because there are lots of ways to do that. And the key here for me is figuring out what's the right way for you. I was talking to a new client yesterday, and he said, well, I'm not going to go into debt. Well, given what he wants to do, I'm not sure that unless we come up with, and you can, a lot of ways to leverage some of the opportunities that he's not going to have to at least take a credit card. So, but I hope you'll come and add your value to it and share that with others. So my resources for you today have to do with making some money. One on, if you take banner ads, there's this very interesting article about ad refresh that I saw, and it's really for WordPress sites, but the man who wrote this little post talks about how it works in other places. So if you take ads in your own social media, this might be a good opportunity for you. There is a very interesting going global e-commerce sales program today from the U.S. Department of Commerce, and it's really through the Exim Bank. It's at 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern today. Even if you can't go to the site that I've listed and make sure that you get on their list to find out what's happening, but you can also see what else is coming. And Nave, there's some things that are specifically for the Pacific Coast that I noticed this morning that I wanted to tell you about. We're coming up to the last Friday in the month, so we always like to tell you about what's happening at TAG. And normally we have our own Bill who comes to share it with us. But there are some very interesting new ideas that have come about streamlining biotech. And so that's their focus tomorrow at 8 a.m. And that's 8 a.m. Central, which is really early on the West Coast. Not so bad other places. 1 million cups Round Rock is what I was talking to Paige about. And it's really designed for people who have new ideas that they would like some feedback on. And so, Sam, maybe that would be something you'd like to do as well. I am going to be talking about the customers buy-in process for Rotary next week, and then I will bring it back to the forum. So that's coming up. The one for Rotary's, what they call their BAG, Business Advisory Group. There's the link to that meeting, and you are welcome. I asked them and they said, yes, I could share that. So if you can come, please do. Rotary is a wonderful organization. Lorraine talked a little bit about it before, but it might be something that might fit well with what you're doing. And because in Texas, we still have taxes to pay coming up in June, I just wanted to make sure you all knew about the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. That is something that a lot of people are not aware, that there are some specific things that the IRS is required to do besides taking your money and getting back to you with a refund maybe in the next 6 months. At least that was the last I heard. Next week, we have Kurt Finch from Jernix. Jernix has a software program that does time management, and Jimmy Todd gave us a really good example of an issue that certainly comes into play when you're looking at employees. So Kurt's going to talk about taking advice and learning from mistakes. So I hope you'll come for that. And of course, Paige will be here on the 10th. Then I will do the buyer's continuum. And then this one, I think, might surprise you. You may think, oh, multi-level marketing, that's not good. And it really might be a model choice that would work for you. But I asked Gene Chavez to come and talk about it. He does run a multi-level marketing company. So before you say, oh dear, that it's illegal, kind of like David Turpin was referring to from his buyer, is you need to know a little bit more. So there are some real opportunities out there. Lean Coffee is coming up, and certainly be sure that you have a wonderful and safe and memorable Memorial Day. And we have several people here who are with us today who are veterans, including David Turpin. And so it's not the 4th of July and it's not the Veterans Day, but David Turpin, we certainly want to say thank you for being with us and for serving. So goodbye to everybody. Have a good weekend. See you next Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.